when you start to delve into your interests and your passions and in your goals, when you really delve into them, you'll start to see things that were hidden to you in plain sight. And you know what the costs are? You know what the hidden costs are? That the longer that you push these things away, the bigger the parts of your brain that were craving this and that were ready for action, they start to die. Hello and welcome to the Too Deep Podcast. I am your host, Adonis Barrera, and I am joined as always by the lovely and sensational Iana Giselle Backlit Alhambra.
Hey everybody.
How you doing today, Iana?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing pretty solid.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
A little sad though, because tomorrow, by this time you guys that are hearing it, it'll be last week, but tomorrow I go back into work.
After a 2-week vacation.
A 2-week hiatus.
Yes.
Man. Terrible. Yeah, but it'll be nice because the one good thing about work is that it gives you a solid and set in stone schedule.
Yes, it definitely does.
Yeah.
But at least when you do come back, your schedule isn't too as early. Like you're used to working 5 a.m., like being at work at 5 a.m. until like 2.
Until 2 p.m. Yeah. But now I'll be going in at 7 and then leaving at 3:30.
Yeah. So you get a little bit more time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be a little difficult when I do go back in at 5. But for the meantime, 7 is very, very manageable.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll still be able to go to sleep out pretty much whatever time, even though I don't go to sleep that late. But yeah, it'll still be nice having that buffer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you can, if you wanted to, you can even stay on the 5 a.m. schedule and do more of your morning routine if you wanted to. Just to stay, really keep those 2 hours, make them worth it and ease your way back into your quote unquote 9 to 5.
That's true.
5 to 2.
Exactly. Yeah,
because
I was even thinking of I know I'm pushing it. I was even thinking of going to the gym or something like that.
Ooh,
beforehand.
Go ahead.
But I'll see. Maybe I'll use that time instead to work on my reels and stuff, or photos, and then do the workout after work.
True.
But I'll see how I want to do that. Anyways, what about you? Anything special or anything interesting going on in your life right now?
Not too much. I am definitely getting through my personal training certification, one chapter at a time.
Nice.
Thankfully, because I've had this certification for 3 years now, with just life happening, because I've had it for 3 years now.
Yeah.
I didn't touch it for so long that they made my account inactive. And then I was no longer able to click on any of the videos. And I was like, hold on, wait. I definitely know I paid a significant amount to be able to have this for a lifetime, even when I have to recertify for the test. And so thankfully, it was an easy fix. I just had to change my email passwords and everything like that, and make sure that, and contact them and say hey, I am active. I'm trying to get back into this. Sorry, no trying. I am getting back into this.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And move the needle. And yesterday when I checked it, thankfully I was able to access all of the videos again. So I was like, all right, let's go. We're back on track. We're still projected to take the test on Friday, September 22nd. So stay tuned. Hold me accountable, please. Yeah. Try to check in. If you even want, you can even DM me and say hey, as soon as you get your personal training certification, I want to be on your list. So that'll be even a bigger push for me to move through this hurdle. And
Yep.
this has been a long time coming. So just pray for me that I keep going,
Oh,
please.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
But
that's really what's going on. And I think because I understand who I am now with the air traffic control, cautious, perfectionist,
yeah,
with all of that, and then obliger too, because I understand that component of myself, now I am hyper focusing on this personal training certification within the next month and a half to complete this certification. So no more distractions. Before work and after work, this is what I am committing myself to.
nice.
So I'm really excited to like give myself that discipline and that accountability.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
That's what's up. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting back into the swing of things.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense though. It's not that you were being lazy or anything, but this was the busiest season at work
Yes.
to the point where you were working like 12-hour shifts.
Exactly. 12-hour shifts, and going back to like 8-hour shifts is like, oh my gosh, I have like 3 hours after work before I have to go to sleep or something like that.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
So-
not 3, like 5 hours now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's always nice going back into your passions
Yes.
because then it gives you a different sense of life.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just waking up, going to work, and only living for the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally living to make a living on your passions, on your desires, on your pursuits of your goals and everything.
Yes, like knowing that I am not just waking up for my 9 to 5 and I'm actually going after some more.
Right.
I think that's kind of what was missing in the last couple years, but it's also there's a season for everything.
Yeah.
So like when life is lifing, that's like our favorite term in my accountability group in the
Yeah.
mornings.
Yeah.
When life is lifing, that's when you just have to move through the motions. But when you get a good grasp of life, because everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
So just know that like if times are hard, it can't last forever.
Yeah.
But even when times are like really good, make sure you take in that moment
Yeah.
because it's not going to last forever.
Exactly.
When life is lifing, yes, go through the motions, but understand that it's going to come to a close, and then have hope that when it does stop lifing, and you're not like passively taking on whatever life has for you,
Yeah.
you are able to put that pursuit in motion again of like,
Nice.
okay, I'm hungry for more. I'm not just passively going with my 9 to 5. Thankfully, I have my 9 to 5, but what else is there that I can do to continue to either better myself or make another stream of income or find some self-care that like I've been wanting to do, or dive into a new habit where I can be creative in whatever aspect that it may be, whether it's my health or art or music or something, like anything.
Yeah.
But be actively pursuing something else in life. There's like way more realms that you can think of where you're not just like aimlessly going through the routine and rut of life. There's way more to it.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, we just found that out last week with our own beings. We used to just think of it as introvert and extrovert. And
Right.
then we're like, whoa, you have your tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your personalities,
Yes.
and then you have like, even with your own personality, sometimes it shifts based on the people you're around.
Yeah.
Whether you're very comfortable with the people you're around,
Mm-hmm.
or you total strangers, and then you go from being natural to adaptive.
Yes.
And
for sure.
I don't want to go in on this too much because we talked about it last week,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't talk about this though, the natural and adaptive. When I'm in my natural, I consider myself a natural butterfly. Like I
Yes.
constantly want to be talking. I constantly want to be making people feel good and laugh.
Yes.
But that's when I'm with people that I know very well, that I'm very comfortable with.
Yes.
But if there's even just one person that comes into the group
that
uh,
you're not naturally
then
like accustomed to.
that I'm accustomed to, then I become a little more adaptive. And the more new people there are, the more adaptive I get. Meaning, instead of constantly wanting to talk to people, I revert back and I observe and I just listen and I take everything in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to touch on the natural versus adaptive, natural, there's no effort there.
Yeah.
You are effortlessly talking to the people that you want to and bringing your energy, and you're on that high level.
Yeah.
Versus adaptive is you're putting an effort and thought into what you should be doing and how you should be acting and all of that.
Yeah.
So you're way more cautious about the self.
Exactly.
And that, with that adaptive for you, that's you going into yourself and like finding comfort and observing others and what's going on and everything like that. Versus my natural is the talkative and like my high.
Yeah.
But my adaptive is not quiet. Like I don't go into myself, but I go into who in this room doesn't feel like they fit in. Let me go talk to them.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk their ear off. Or then I'll listen to them a lot more and hear what they have to say and what their opinions are and stuff like that. That's my adaptive. But there's so many other forms of adaptive and natural.
Yeah.
Based on your personality type.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyways, yeah, getting into the topic of discussion for today, we really want to hit on the topic of ignorance. Ignorance being a bliss, because a lot of us, man, it's so easy and it's understandable on why so many of us hide behind the problems. Whenever there's a financial situation, we can't pay this off, we can't pay that off, the bills are coming in, man, and then you hide behind the problem being, I'm not getting paid enough at work, which is true, right? And then you blame your employers. But from the jump, when you took this job, you understood that I'm going to be getting paid this amount every single week. And throughout the year, I might be getting a raise just based off the 3% inflation. Yeah, when you're facing like financial problems and you hide behind the problems instead of looking for a solution, because it's better to stay in ignorance, because in ignorance is when you can stop and you don't have to work at anything. You can just leave it there and blame other people and hope that one day something will change.
Yes.
When in reality, you know in your heart of hearts that nothing will change until you do. But because doing so requires responsibility, doing so requires discipline, doing so would require a level of effort, integrity, and passion. You'd much rather just stay ignorant, not gain the information, not go for what is yours because it's too much work for you.
Yes. And to add to that point, with ignorance being like triggering, you recognizing subconsciously that you are being passive with life. Like the mere fact of the word ignorance being triggering is you not being deliberate and intentional about what moves you're making. For example, when you said, when you had that job and you knew when you were hired you were only going to get 3% because of the cost of living going up and whatever.
Yeah.
But technically, if the cost of living is rising and that's how you got your raise, that's not really a raise. That's just to keep up with the cost of living.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, you really have to think, I am deflecting and I choose to not have the language to continue to further myself to get ahead for the next raise.
Mm.
And that's part of you, quote unquote, you. So, like, I'll talk about myself now.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm even pursuing my personal training certification is, yes, for another stream of income, but it's stemming from something that I'm passionate about and interested in. And with all of that in mind, it's to help me leverage myself so that I'm not solely reliant on my 9 to 5. I do not want to continue to work 12-hour days over the summer.
Right.
Like, no, that is the time that I want to be living my life.
Yeah.
Not passively going about life for 7, 8, 9 weeks in the summer.
Right.
When I could be with my family, when I could be visiting my parents, when I could be traveling.
Exactly.
And doing the stuff that fills my cup up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And even though I love being able to work in a place of service to like the community and add to the discussion and hear other people's thoughts and like collaborate with other people, I love it. But that can only take me so far.
Yeah.
That does not fill my cup up in the sense of like my own personal cup.
Right.
With the topic of ignorance, there's a block. I don't know what it is, but there's a block with the word ignorance that I am personally like trying to figure out like, okay, what is not the trigger, but what is the block? And that's what ignorance is. I need to do the research to better understand what am I not being intentional about learning to further myself.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's some, okay, let me break it down, right? There are some interests that you have that you could easily say to yourself, okay, I love storytelling. I love writing. You know, back when I was in high school, even, or if you went to college, when I was in college, I used to love writing. I used to love literature. I used to love developing my characters, my plot, my climax.
That's dope.
I'm saying, like, if someone said this, right? I'm not necessarily
Oh.
me, but you, maybe
Okay.
you, the listener, you, the watcher, are saying that to yourself. But you are saying to yourself, okay, but realistically, bump that because I'm not going to make any money off of that. I mean,
Right.
like, if I ever became an author, then yeah, of course, I could be making a lot of money. But really, who's going to read my books? Who's going to read whatever I have to put down? And that's literally ignorance speaking, because you're not thinking to put in the time to research. Okay, I might not have the necessary vocabulary and the necessary tools and the necessary groundwork to be of use to multiple people, or to be of entertainment to multiple people, so that when they do read my books, it'll be very good.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not putting in that time to research all of that. And the reason is because you'd much rather just stay ignorant and just say, you know what, whatever, no one's ever going to want to read this. And ignorance, literally, it stems from fear.
Yes.
I mean, you can look at it any type of way, whether it be ignorance with what we're talking about, which is taking yourself to the next level, or I don't want to go here. We could definitely go here, but with racism and everything, people have hatred and fear to things that they're ignorant about.
And it's the programming that they have been taught and not their own sound
Judgment.
research for themselves and experiences for themselves to actually understand and develop a true, quote unquote, judgment.
Or understanding.
Thank you. A true understanding of that culture, that race, that like gender or whatever.
Ethnicity, whatever. But
yes.
like we said, we
Yes.
leave that there because we could go on and it could be very heated, passionate, I should say,
Yes.
discussion. But in terms of yourself, you should be just as passionate, just as heated to think to yourself like, yo, man, I am 27 years old. I'm 34 years old. I'm 45 years old, 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have been over here. I could have been living on that side of the menu, on that side of the planet.
Yes.
But because I let my ignorance, I let the me not knowing get in the way of getting everything I ever desired.
Right. And I like how earlier you also talked about ignorance is not having the language. And to dive deeper on that component, if you're speaking vulgar language or whatever, that, or let's scale it even further down. If someone gave me a compliment, I didn't have the language to receive that compliment. I was ignorant of how to receive a compliment because I was programmed to I was programmed to think that I needed to be humble and stay humble. So I thought being humble meant I have to actively be humble and make sure I'm intentionally being humble. But no, when you're humble, it's not something that you have to actively do. There's no effort in being humble. When you're humble and you have that humility, you have the essence within you.
Yes.
And when you're real and actually understanding that you want to be authentic, that's when you're real and your humility actually shines.
Right.
And when, say, someone like complimented me on how well I was vacuuming the floors or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of saying like, oh, all glory to God, like he let me do that, like, I don't know, thank you, okay, and then run away, like, which is what I would do. Now I know and I have the language to say thank you, or sorry, see, I still need to practice. Thank you so much. I received that. I really appreciate you taking the time to even like tell me about that. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was far more genuine because of the language that I have received. And that was just someone being able to tell me a little bit more about myself.
Yeah.
And because I was surrounded by the right people, I was able to receive their feedback. And that is already something that I am working on. And that's me being open to receiving that information. So research, like quote unquote research, to minimize your ignorance does not have to be, I have to read all of these journal articles and dive deep in all of these things. No, it's honestly the types of conversations that you're having.
Right.
With the type of people that you're having it with. It's the accounts that you're following on social media. It's the people you hang out with at work. And excuse me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, there's other forms of research, but honestly, the root of research, make sure your source is reliable. Credible. Thank you.
Yeah.
Make sure your source is credible.
And going back to what you said about the vulgar language, it's literally, for example, if someone says, hey man, you really have a knack for drawing, I really think you should take that to the next level. Like you could easily sell them as prints. You could easily,
Hmm.
paint murals. You could easily make art and frame it and then either sell it or show it off or whatever. And you could easily say, man, bump that, you
Yeah.
know, and
Ain't nobody gonna pay a dime for my
yes,
beep.
yeah, exactly. And then you really say that because you're scared, because you're afraid of, okay, what if I do this, but it ends up not working out? Like I put all this time and effort
Hmm.
and you made yourself vulnerable.
And you deflect whatever anyone has to say that is positive in your life because you want to create that block in your life.
Yeah,
Like you don't want to receive what other people are saying, and you don't want to allow yourself to um, think of the possibilities and be open to what if in a positive light.
exactly. So instead, you just say, bump that. I'm not going to do that. And what you do is you burn the bridge.
Hmm.
So then at least you don't have to see that anymore. And you could act as if that path is no longer there. When in
Hmm.
reality, you're just being ignorant. You're choosing to be ignorant to the fact that, yo, this is a path I could take
Hmm.
instead of just being in this bubble, protected and cool, even though you know that this isn't sustainable. The moment
Right.
the moment that someone doesn't like me at my job and decides to cut me, what am
Mm.
I going to do? I have nothing to fall back on because I just chose to stay ignorant.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry that I keep using that word, but it's true. And you just decide to ride this wave that at any moment it could come to a crash, that it could come to a halt.
Hmm.
And for those of you in that scenario, I want to tell you that there are hidden costs to being
Yes.
ignorant. For example, I'll give you Yana always used to tell me, Donis, you have insurance. Go to the dentist. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I haven't gone in a brick. And then all of a sudden, my gums are hurting. There's a chip in my tooth. Luckily, you can't see it, even when you're talking to me. But it's like, and it's not like huge, but it's there. And it's like,
Significant.
yeah, so not that big though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I need to go now because I'm hurting now. And
Hmm.
it's like, bro, you could have avoided this hurt if you just had gone sooner. But because you just wanted to stay ignorant, I literally chose to stay ignorant by not going. I didn't want them to say, hey, you have this problem, this problem, and this problem. Pay up, pay up, pay up. I didn't
Mm.
want to go through that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm brushing my teeth twice a week. I'm flossing here and
Twice a
there.
week.
Oh, sorry.
Twice a
Twice a day. Good grief. Honest, no wonder you got to go to the dentist. My brother.
day.
Yeesh. Hey, why? All right. Anyway, twice a day. I'm brushing my teeth twice a day. I'm flossing every now and then, and I'm using
Mouthwash.
mouthwash.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, I'm solid. I don't. There's no need. I can just not go to the dentist if they're just gonna do pretty much the same stuff, right? And just tell me the same things. But it's no, you have to go because they have tools that can see way more than your pure eyesight.
Yes.
When you start to delve into your interests and your passions and in your goals, when you really delve into them, you'll start to see things that were hidden to you in plain sight. And you know what the costs are? You know what the hidden costs are? That the longer that you push these things away, the bigger the parts of your brain that were craving this and that were ready for action, they start to die. And the moment that you do want to pick this up, you're going to have to do so much work just to revive those parts of your brain because they're dull, they're rusted, they've been sitting in the attic and you haven't moved them, not even just an ounce. The hidden costs are your family. Bruh, you know how much better your family could be living if you started on this journey 5 years ago where would you be? But
Mhm.
it's easier to stay ignorant and say, nah, it's not going to happen for me. So I just stay like that. I just keep working. Someday, someone, something will happen where my life is going to get better. Bruh, you live like that day to day, and it doesn't seem like much. A week could go by, 2 weeks could go by. You probably just thought it was 4 months, when in reality, it's been 10 years.
Mhm.
It's been 10 years since you've had an inclination to go out on this path. 10 years worth of knowledge, 10 years worth of action. Even if you failed within those 10 years, but you've actively tried to do something, at least now you know what road not to go down. And each no is leading to a yes. But what happens when you're just silent, when you're not doing anything? Nothing is changing. No rocks are getting flipped over. You'll never find that key under the rock, and you have a million rocks to go when you could be at least halfway to finding that key by now.
Mhm.
There are hidden costs to your ignorance. Stop trying to believe that just because you choose not to look at it, that there aren't going to be consequences to it.
Yes. And I have 2 points on that. The first one is the difference between an amateur and a professional is honestly the amount of work that they have put in to their craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we said this in not years, but in episodes past,
Yeah.
like it takes like 400 or like 1,000 something hours to become a master at something.
Yeah.
And that's if you're choosing to be ignorant based on the topic that we're talking about right now. If you're choosing to be ignorant, bruh, it takes 21 years to be 21.
Right.
Like in 2 years' time, you can either have the degree or not have the degree. But time is not moving. I mean, time
It's
is not
moving.
waiting
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Like in 2 years' time, it will be 2 years later.
Exactly.
Like perfect example, which brings me to my next point, which like breaking it down into two. My personal training certification could have easily been done 3 years ago, but this is 3 years later and I still don't have it yet. But now I can actively pursue it
Yeah.
with full intention.
Yeah.
The other point that I had with that is, you know how you just said, if you're not using that part,
Mm-hmm.
it dulls down.
Mm-hmm.
I have known that I was a perfectionist, but because I deflected that for so long, because I saw a perfectionist and didn't agree with how they were doing it, I was like, absolutely not. I am not going to be a perfectionist. So let me just be free. And it doesn't have to be so hardcore. It doesn't have to be so meticulous every single time for every single thing.
Right.
And because I deflected it for years, because I deflected it for years, there are so many times that even the simple thing of making a bed or brushing your teeth, like I think Jay Shetty is the one who he starts his day off intentionally slow because who wants to be rushing around at the very start of their day?
Right.
So when he brushes his teeth, he brushes it for each tooth for 4 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like,
Okay.
wow, that is deliberate and intentional. And I was like, that is so dope.
Jeez.
Do you know how fast you're going to get to 2 minutes when you're brushing like that?
Yeah.
Boom. No, I'm just kidding. But that's the type of deliberate and intentional like he is. And like he's like, just kidding. He's like moons away. That's what I was about to say, but he's really not. He's literally just a freaking human,
Exactly.
just like all of us.
Yeah.
So scaling it back down, I stopped being such a perfectionist that even when I'm working out now, and I know form for working out is key and crucial, when I do a simple lunge and I'm shaking and falling over because I haven't intentionally done a lunge in that long, that my core is no longer like as strong and sturdy as it used to be, I get upset with myself. And the perfectionist in me is like, it's because you haven't been working out. Like, there's so many things going on in my head, but that's the component of myself that I knew that I didn't work on, of being a perfectionist and everything. And now, years later, now that I'm trying to work out again, that part of me is like, if you were deliberate and intentional about your perfectionism and growing the personal training side and growing the health and fitness side, I wouldn't be shaking right now. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing that. But I'm coming back to accepting that I am a perfectionist. I'm coming back to accepting who I truly am as a person. And in that growth process, in that personal development, through not choosing ignorance, I can allow myself to accept where I am and learn to develop and sharpen my skills again as a perfectionist. So that's the type of intention that we are talking about right now. We don't want you to stay ignorant. We want you to continue to grow where you are and accept where you are so that you can continue to grow and not be scared of fighting who you truly are.
Right.
That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about understanding yourself through other people's perspectives. We don't know absolutely everything, but every single time that we show up for this podcast, we come back because we've experienced, we've learned, we've grown, we've read, we've researched a little bit more than the last time that we showed up.
Exactly.
So don't be ignorant.
Yeah. Work hard. I mean, it's going to take work. Don't be afraid to embrace that.
And just give yourself some grace. Like, it's not all going to flood to you in this aha moment, one day of transition and transformation. Like, it's a process. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just acknowledge that it's going to take some time. And we always say it's going to take some time. You know, you're not going to break out of a 20-year cycle within 2 weeks. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes self-love and self-respect, because it's not easy. But that's going to do it for our podcast for today. You know, we could talk about this a lot more, but I think it's good to just hit them with the key points, and then we can reassess and come back. But yeah, I hope we hope you guys really enjoy this type of content, that you get at least one nugget out of this, because as much as we are doing this for you, we are doing it for ourselves too. We have goals, we have dreams, we have gifts and purpose and talents within us that if we don't start using them, then they will die and they will be given to somebody else.
Yeah.
So we're trying to hone in on them. And even though, you know, this is going to be our 22nd, I believe, podcast or whatever.
Something.
But even at our 30th or even 50th, we still might not be where we'd want to be. But you better believe that one episode is where we're going to get it right. And that's going to be our standard. That's going to be our template. And that's what we're going to build upon. But we're not going to ever get there if we just decide to give in now, because it's not what we thought it would be, because it's not looking the way we thought it was going to look, because it's not sounding the way we thought it was going to be sounding. It takes time, patience, effort, and passion. So we are going to continue. We're not going to be in our ignorance and thinking that this is as good as it's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
No, we cannot stay in this bubble. We have to pierce that and see what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
There is more out there. So we have to constantly push ourselves to look. And even though it might hurt our eyes to see where we're at right now, to actually analyze and judge our own content, but that's what we have to do in order to keep tweaking, to keep adjusting, to pivot. But yeah.
Yes. And one more note on top of this whole like topic.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that there are some videos that I have watched and said to watch this every day for the next 21 days or 4 days or whatever to reprogram and reprocess and everything. But when I ended up watching those videos, they didn't have to tell me to rewatch those videos. There were so many points in that video that I wanted to make sure that I instilled each point that resonated with me. I got to replay all of those videos because they were so good that I didn't want to miss a beat or miss a point or anything like that. So when you're on this journey of learning and developing and growing and choosing to be more understanding and discover more perspective instead of staying in your comfort zone of ignorance, allow yourself the opportunity to replay things. It's okay to not get it the first time.
Right.
When you rode a bike, you didn't just hop on and then go.
Yeah.
When you were swimming, you didn't just jump in the pool and start swimming. If you did, like, cool, there's one thing that you didn't learn off the bat and you had to repeat it. So it's okay to repeat research and repeat and understand, okay, what's the contribution to this topic now?
Right.
And like, okay, maybe I'm listening to this right now, but it's not resonating with me. Okay, I'll come back to it like a month later or something.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Oh, I didn't even hear that point. Like, it's kind of like rereading your favorite book or rewatching your favorite movie and seeing, oh my gosh, there was like another point that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, there's an actor that was in here that I didn't even know was like in it.
Yeah.
Watching
There was a whole
years
message
later.
that I skipped right over my head because I was so enthralled with the scene before.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So don't be afraid to rewatch, re-listen, reread different forms of content.
Yeah. Books,
just to better
whatever.
understand.
Yeah.
It's okay. So give yourself that grace too.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the 2D podcast. Please check us out on our Instagram page, which is 2D pod. That's TOODEEP POD on Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel. It's under my name, Adonis Barrera, but I have a playlist there for our podcast. And you'll see the banner as soon as you see it. You know, the 2D podcast.
Yay.
Yana's name, my name. And let's, get in touch with us. Tell us about who you are. Tell us about what you do, how this has helped you, or what you want us to talk about if there's anything more specific. We'd love to shout you out if you give us out any ideas or any concerns that you might have. And because we really want to start building this community up. It's so much easier to help you out, to help the person that's going to listen to this when we know what you're about, when we know what you're going through, your problems, your challenges, or anything that you just like advice about.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a community. It's just me, Iana, and a couple of the people that is you, the listener. But we'd like to get to know you too.
Yeah, because you also never know, like, through the community, even if we don't know it, someone else that is also listening might have a different answer or have a different perspective that can add to the conversation that we're having, and just continue to build and grow together.
1000%. Yeah, please leave us a review. Like this on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Like the Instagram reels.
Yes.
Yeah, just, anything to help us out. We'd really appreciate it.
We want to hear from you.
Oh, definitely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the 2D podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.